Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. The NBA Finals are among us starting this Thursday between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. In this video, we're going to dive into one layer of this series, starting with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum and their marvelous performances throughout the playoffs thus far. The stats here are their combined stats, but Jayson Tatum is averaging 26 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists on 44, 29, 85% shooting splits, while Jaylen Brown is averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists on 54, 37, 63 shooting splits. These guys have been forces and consistent all playoff long. On the other side of things, Dallas has been one of the best playoff defenses and one of the best defenses over the last 2 months. In the playoffs, they're holding teams to a 112 defensive rating and the stats seen above. But this video is going to dive into how PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. are going to handle the matchups of Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. Starting with talking about Derrick Jones Jr. He's been tasked with guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Paul George, Anthony Edwards, amongst other stars throughout these playoffs, holding all of them under their season averages in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and forcing multiple turnovers against various people. In terms of PJ Washington, he's done the same thing, holding guys such as Karl-Anthony Towns, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Paul George, Anthony Edwards, all below their season averages in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and was just efficient and effective as an individual defender against a variety of guys. So now let's dive into the film and see how PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. match up against Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. First, we're going to talk about Boston's dynamic duo in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, starting with Jayson Tatum. Throughout the playoffs, over half of his field goal attempts have been either at the rim or from three. He's shooting 73% at the rim. As you can see throughout these clips, he's done a great job at using his body, his size, his strength to get downhill, finish with authority, finish through contact. Really good job at bumping guys to get the space he needs. Not really efficient shooting the ball throughout the playoffs in terms of the mid-range and three, but his ability to get downhill, knock down free throws, he's been very efficient at those things, covering up ground for his bad shooting throughout the playoffs. But in the finals, you're going to need to stay in his body, not allow him to get free open looks from beyond the arc, because he's more than capable of knocking down multiple attempts from beyond the arc once he sees one go through. And then in terms of Jaylen Brown has been awesome throughout these playoffs. His shot diet is more even, but he's been highly efficient from across the floor, shooting 61.5% at the rim, 50% from the mid-range, and 37% from three. He's been going all over the floor. Great job at attacking downhill at the rim, using his size and strength and athletic ability to finish in a variety of ways. Showed a couple finishes with his left hand too, which is cool to see him developing that and doing it in the biggest stage. In the second level, he's getting down 1 or 2 bounces into the mid-level, bumping guys off, getting his space, and then from beyond the arc, just being one of the most efficient shooters throughout the playoffs, whether it's off the catch or off the dribble, getting his feet down, elevating over the defense, and just giving himself the best chance from beyond the arc to be as efficient as he can possibly be. Now to start on the Dallas side of things with Derrick Jones Jr.'s defense. He's been awesome all playoff long at just being solid, active, and making a ton of plays just happen individually. And this is a great example to start. Just staying in his stance, being solid, and blocking and contesting the three by James Harden. Here he does a great job at sliding, walling up, and making that chest the primary point of contact versus Karl-Anthony Towns. And then in this clip here, he makes multiple efforts. He buys on that first move by Ant, gets back in front, and then ends up forcing Ant toward the big, and then contesting and forcing a tough two in the mid-range. All these clips, you can see the same common things by Derrick Jones Jr. He uses his chest as a primary point of contact, does a great job at cutting off drives going towards the middle of the floor. If the ball's on the side, he funnels the ball to the bigs, which is their defensive thing. Watch the previous video, see their defense throughout the playoffs. But in terms of individual defense, he does a great job at beating guys to the spot, using his chest, playing without fouling, with going vertical on shots, and contesting at the point of the release and not in the body of the offensive player. Just being fundamentally sound on an individual level defensively. Another way Derrick Jones has been sensational is in the pick and roll. That clip there, you saw him go under, meet the ball on the other side, and then play really solid individual defense in the post against Anthony Edwards. Moving on, in the next couple clips, you can just see him doing a great job at evacuating screens, moving his feet to a way that he can avoid contact, get back in front, and make plays happen. or just being very solid in coverage. They ice the sides of the floor a little bit, they down in the middle of the floor a little bit, and he did a great job at sitting on that hip, forcing toward the big, and making the ball handler make tough plays in the pick and roll. He did a great job at staying connected to the ball, flying around, rearranging his feet. In switch situations, did a really good job peeling like you saw in that last clip. But overall, the way he was active and connected to the ball consistently was a major point of his success throughout the playoffs thus far, and will be a major point moving forward with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum being put in some ball screen action, specifically horns, pistols, those types of things. At the end of the day, he sits down, he finds ways to evacuate contact, get back in front, sit down. This clip here, multiple ball screens, never loses contact and attachment to the ball, ends up forcing a really tough contested jump shot. These last few clips, you can just see the way he's fighting off the ball, getting back in front, making plays happen in off-ball actions also. This clip here against Paul George, he does a great job in that flex action, getting back, contesting the mid-range shot. And this last clip here sums it all up for Derrick Jones Jr. He's activating the ball early, great stance, gets back in front, stays attached, cuts off the drive, and then he gets in position, stunts, recovers, does a good job here, funneling to the big, contesting on a second effort, and then off the ball, great positioning, and then rotates out in the zone up, contesting the three. Overall, great possession right there from Derrick Jones Jr. Now to go to the other half of the matchup duo, we got PJ Washington. You can see the physicality, the grit, the toughness they showed at the point of attack here against Karl-Anthony Towns, and throughout the playoffs. He had a variety of matchups, but regardless of how he got on these guys, he did a good job of activating, doing his job, and being a physical force regardless of who he's guarding. The way he knows his strengths and weaknesses as a defender is incredible, and regardless of who he was guarding, he knew he had a physical advantage in most matchups, and if he didn't, he knew he could probably be quicker than that person. Able to contest without fouling, flying around, did a really good job at understanding his role as an individual defender, funneling guys to the bigs, or cutting them off in the middle of the floor, making middle drives very difficult. Just the overall aggressiveness he had on the individual level defensively was cool to see, and how he's different than Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr. is much more active, bouncy, athletic, while PJ Washington's more physical grit, but also has that athletic burst to him. In ball screen coverages, you can see he was more of a switchable guy, able to pick up anyone at any given time. He typically took the more physical guy of the two throughout the playoffs. He did a good job with that though, staying low, big chest, sliding his feet, and beating guys to his spot, and being a force. In switches, you can see he did a good job at understanding where his advantage was. Here against Mike Conley, he knew Mike Conley was quicker, so he was trying to position himself, be physical, and wall up. In this clip here, we can talk a little bit about his play off the ball. We get a blind pig with the 4 and 5. He does a good job of chasing, being connected, and blocking the shot. This clip here on the down screen, he does a good job of getting back in front, fighting for position, getting in a spot where he's able to make a play and funnel the ball toward the big. Overall, you can see throughout these clips that the activity level, energy, and just toughness he has as a defender is what is allowing him to be successful in all these matchups. He's guarding guys from SGA to Paul George to Kawhi Leonard to Anthony Edwards to Karl-Anthony Towns. These guys have a variety of skill sets, but his physicality is something that allows him to be successful in all of these matchups. He's funneling guys to their spots on the floor where they want to funnel the offense. He's doing a good job at just being fundamentally sound as a defender, being active, and doing his job at such a high level that it's making him stand out as one of the best role players in the playoffs thus far, and a major reason why the Dallas Mavericks are in the NBA Finals now. This clip here, off-ball screen, does a good job at consistently fighting and making a play late. And this last clip puts it all together for PJ Washington. He's guarding SGA, staying in his stance, staying solid, forcing him down toward the big, fights to stay back in front. Fast forward a little bit, SGA gets the ball back late clock, and he forces a tough contested shot off the dribble. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as we broke down the matchup between Dallas's defenders and Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington versus the dynamic duo on the wings of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics. The finals are going to be full of great matchups, schemes, and storylines, so I am excited for this to start on Thursday. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. For more content like this, please like, subscribe, and share. Check out our podcast previewing the NBA Finals at more depth wherever you listen to your podcast. But until next time, peace.